So what characters are going to help you make the greatest save data in the easier runs inside of Season 2 of Chaos Zero Nightmare? Well, I've fully maxed out the Zero system for Season 2, and I'm finally ready to tell you exactly what characters have helped me the most into building amazing save data in CZN Season 2. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let's get right into it. Now, this tier list is going to be specifically for Season 2 of Chaos Zero Nightmare, and this tier list is based around the characters that are going to help you build amazing save data. It's a little bit different than Season 1 because in Season 2, you can really focus in on all of your resources during your runs on removing the cards, upgrading the cards, re-rolling for epiphanies, and focusing all of your resources on that character you're trying to build that save data for, which means that the characters that you can bring into your team that don't really need specific epiphanies, don't need cards removed, don't really care what gear they get, don't really care what epiphanies they get, don't really care about anything. They don't need attention. Those characters who don't really need attention but are hard carrying you through that run, those are going to be on the higher end of the tier list. So those are the characters we're focusing on putting up there this time. The characters that allow you to designate resources into whatever other character you're trying to build are going to be rated higher than those who are a little bit more greedy. So we're gonna have these ones right here. We have solo carry God, we have carry, easy, fine, hard, and needs carry for our tier list today. Now, the first one I'm gonna be touching on is gonna be Luke. Now, Luke is gonna be order. Order is pretty good, and he also doesn't really care too much about what potentials you're really getting on him, right? His base card in rapid fire is really where a lot of the designation of your utility and what his game plan is coming to fruition from, and you don't really care like which of these you kind of get. You don't really want to see like this one, you know, you want the bullet generation, but there's not really a ton of them that are going to like be like, oh no, my Luke is useless. Him being order helps out a lot as well, but the one thing that kind of like holds Luke back from just being like, I can do everything myself with any other two random characters, is some of the bosses. If you're getting the affix with extra health, extra attack, you have lower health on your team, a lot of the bosses actually punish you for hitting and using too many cards at the same time. But that being said, I still think he is going to be one of the characters that will help facilitate that game plan. He's not really caring too much about needing all of your attention during your run. So he's pretty easy to throw into your team as your damage dealer and just kind of get stuff done. Now, Khalipe is a old age favorite here. How is she faring in Season 2 of CZN? And she's doing pretty decent, right? Because a lot of the stuff that we can gain access to in Chaos Zero Nightmare Season 2, there's a lot of defense-based stuff. There's a lot of, if you have a shield, do X thing. She doesn't necessarily need to have all of these things. If you're building a character that doesn't focus on defense, scaling, damage, she can kind of just get the little scraps at the table, right? And you can kind of just slowly build her up, and she can do solid work for you in Season 2. That being said, though, a lot of the things, they have increased the HPs of the bosses and stuff, and so the old age, like, I'm gonna take Khalipe as my only DPS, and then I'm gonna bring, you know, a couple of healers and shielders and supports, doesn't really get the job all the way done. I don't think she's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think she's pretty good, and I think she also is on the borderline between like fine and easy here when it comes to picking her and using her in your team. I'm always like a more aggressive approach type of player when it comes to just getting through, you know, farming save data. It saves you time as well. It's more consistent a lot of the time. She's pretty good though. I'm gonna still probably keep her in fine just because, well, there's not any specialty things. Yeah, there's some AoE during the season, but a lot of those hard hitting things are all single target enemies. And so like vulture ejection, AoE shields and stuff, we like that. But remember, this is the character who's not getting a lot of your focus. We're not duplicating cards on these characters for this tier list. These are who can get the minimum amount of respect points, the minimum amount of investment, and you're just gonna have like one copy of every Khalipe card. How hard is she gonna carry you through that run? She's fine. You're gonna get some extra value out of her. You're not doing like the triple silver rain, right, vulture ejection thing during every single run. That's if you're focusing on building her. This is how hard can we carry with the least amount of investment, and she's just kind of fine at that. She's gonna do her own thing. You're not gonna love it, you're not gonna hate it. And speaking of some tank down characters, we also have the likeness of Magna. Now, Magna did get a lot of significant changes into season 2 from season 1 with cost reductions on her cards, a little bit of damage numbers as well, like a lot of the cast did. And Magna can actually hit pretty hard now, and she does have a fair amount of buffs. Now, there are a couple of weird things that they didn't change for her in season 2, like Storm of Bitter Cold, when shield is gained and, you know, gain a counterattack. There are some weird things here where you can like, oh no, my counterattack targets all enemies. Pretty cool. Yeah, let's slap that on an upgrade, and this isn't unique. So like there's some weird stuff going in here on Magna. She does hit pretty hard. You could do like a tank down, shield up. Magna just kind of exists and does stuff, but at the end of the day, she's not going to be as aggressive as a lot of the other characters, and for that reason, I'm not gonna, you know, put her up in the easy category with Lu. You could put her up there. I'm gonna put her down with like fine. Right, she's just kind of there. She's gonna be good. You're not gonna hate it. You're not gonna love it. She's gonna punch things pretty easy, and you're gonna just kind of get stuff done. But at the end of the day, you're not like just being like, I'm blitzing through. Magna's in my team. I close my eyes. I've never lost a run in my entire life. That's not happening. Let's be honest here. As much as I love that character, that's just not how the game is, man. Then we have my lovely Rin. So it doesn't really matter what sort of zero system, what sort of season we're in. You can be in a void week, whatever. Just based on how Rin is played, she really wants very specific teams. She really wants very specific epiphanies. And at the end of the day, we don't really have to go too long on like, where does Rin go? Rin, basically, you know, you would put her in hard carry. She needs carry, right? If you're not building save data, focusing on your Rin in season 2, you're just throwing her into her team and you're not trying to make her data great herself. You're not removing her cards. You're not giving her the duplicates. You're not focusing on getting her the right epiphanies. She's not really going to be carrying your team that much, especially if you're ignoring her and just throwing her in a team and trying to get someone else's save data done. So she's not helping you make super awesome save data for any character in the game. She kind of is one of those characters that needs the investment herself. And I think in season 1, we had her like in the hard mode because you'd get some things, you know, you'd randomly duplicate, right, a card in Rin's deck and she'd be better all of a sudden. That's kind of gone away now in season 2 because we can designate what characters we're wanting to duplicate cards from. And so, you know what, if you're not actively building those characters aren't getting their cards duplicated, you're focusing less on them. And Rin is a character that really needs to be focused on. So you really need to make sure that she's the focal point of your team when you're running her through season 2 of CZN. Otherwise, there's not really a whole lot of reason for her to be there. Oh, wow, have times changed. If you guys have seen my love and hate for Orlea, well, Orlea's gotten a lot of significant changes and also benefits a lot from the different neutral cards added in season 2. One of Orlea's main downsides, if you've seen any of my long plays of me using her in season 1, just complaining about how like you need to spend AP to just not really get anything done with her, right? Will of Khalipe used to cost 2 and you're just kind of healing and the effect was cool, but it just never felt like it was worth casting in or outside of chaos, right? A lot of the different creatures that you would get, whether it's softy or swifty or sturdy, their level 1 forms just like didn't feel like they were valuable for the amount of AP you spent. You felt like you had to kind of combine them inside of chaos before you got any real effect. They kind of increased all of these effects, the damage bonuses, the heal bonuses, the shield bonuses, and she is just like a very AP efficient character now. And on top of that, activating retain effects, well, we have the new spore neutral cards, which are pretty easy to pick up. You just get the upgrade inside of your zero system where you can just rest for free. You can pick that up, do some cool stuff there, and allow you to get some free damage that way. And it plays a lot into the mechanics of Orlea's retain functions as well, even if you're not focusing in on the spores. We know they got nerfed, but it's still something you can pick up for free during your run, slap it in there, make your runs a little bit easier. And it's just a great thing. Orlea went from like literally like not good at all to honestly, I think she's probably one of my favorite support type characters, right? To heal and just provide some stuff for my team. She actually makes your runs quite a lot easier. And I think, I don't know if I want to put her up into the carry role because like you're not really carrying with her, But if you slap her and just like 2 other people who are doing damage, you know, it's pretty good. Actually, I'm going to put her up there. I think Orlea is pretty insane now in chaos runs. I really think she is. So I'm liking to see that because she was one of the characters I enjoyed, even though I hated her to death when the game first released. Now she's good. Oh, I'm going to eat crow for this one. So Mei Lin, I'm a Mei Lin supporter. Mei Lin is one of the first characters I leveled when the game first came out, right? With Tressa and the boy, Cassius. Mei Lin inside of chaos, though, you have to remember, she is pretty good overall. I think she gets hyper overblown and thrown into like S+ tiers all the time because this tier list is focused around who can help you build the best save data for anybody in your team with the least amount of investment possible. And for Mei Lin to really pop off, you want a lot of different epiphanies to hit the right ones inside of there, right? At least a couple of them, right? You want to hit like the passion card extra hit. You want to hit the move on unity of attack and defense a lot of the times. And there are some other ones where it's just like, hey, you get the flame dragon jewel upgrade and it just like lands on a bunch of garbage ones that really don't do a whole lot for you. She is pretty decent. She is pretty good. I do like her. I think a lot of people blow, you know, her overboard on how strong she is inside of a chaos. There are some enemies inside of season 2 that are passion weak, and she does help out there as well. I think she's pretty easy to be your DPS, typical, just like Luke inside of the chaos run, whether you're focusing in on her or just having her in there to just do damage for you. Because remember, if you happen to re-roll, right, I get it, we can re-roll epiphanies, right? We can use the meditation thing. If you're not focusing on building your Mei Lin deck though, and you're using the meditations on your Mei Lin to try to hit the correct epiphany so you can finish the run over and over and over, you're not using those meditations to get the correct cards for who you're actually trying to make the save data for on that run. And that's what this tier list is about, is who can help you get the best data for any character during your run. And Mei Lin makes it pretty easy, but she is far from like a 0 investment, just kind of ignore her, she'll do her own thing and I'll beat the game anyway at the end of the day inside of season 2. You let me know what you think about that down below, but that's where I'm going to be putting her. She makes it pretty easy. She is not just in my team, eyes closed, you know, the game's over type of character inside of season 2 though. Veronica, let's talk about the character. You want to talk about a character who doesn't really need that much investment to kind of get her stuff done, draw some cards, maybe provide a little bit of shield, provide some damage, just doing like free 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 damage a turn for absolutely no real reason. Veronica is that character. Veronica is just that strong. And if you're looking for someone to just kind of throw in your team, low investment, get your stuff done, draw some cards, do some damage, Veronica is definitely right up there. She is in like the carry-s potential, because that's just how strong she is, because you don't need to really invest in her at all, and she will just hold her weight with almost no investment given, and you will love having her in your team. She's fantastic for that reason. We're gonna put her up in the carry slot up there, I know, but that's where she goes. She's just that good. Another character that I think a lot of people sleep on is Renoa. I think a lot of people sleep on Renoa. She can kind of just get in there and do stuff. And the reason that we're going to come to like a little bit, I'm going to come to this sort of like devil's advocate thing, is I think she's got a lot of play with very little investment due to the fact that she merges and meshes pretty decently with a lot of the different equipment that can be kind of like thrown on that's randomly there that you don't care about putting on everyone all of the time. She has the ability to like draw some cards a little every once in a while. She's got some multiple payoffs as well for her own gimmick, her own mechanic of the dirge bullets, right? She's got last ditch assault. She's got Ballad of Pitch Black. You know, she's got instant judgment where you're just like doing damage, paying off, doing damage, creating dirge bullets, doing stuff. She just kind of always just is consistent at what it is that she does. So if you're just looking for someone to do stuff, she's pretty good out there. Regardless of what sort of epiphanies that you pick up, she's just gonna always sort of pull her weight. And if you're looking for a damage dealer, just kind of like throw in your team, I think she makes it overall like pretty easy. I think she makes it pretty easy. I don't think she's as universal as like Orlea or Veronica are, but I think Orlea is pretty good. I see a lot of people putting Orlea like, oh no, she's not very good inside of chaos, and I don't know what game those players are playing, but yeah, Renoa's like pretty easy to get into a chaos team, and she just kind of does her own thing. Don't really need to invest in her doing that much, and that's where she goes. Hugo, my man. Now, Hugo, listen, this is going to be pretty easy for us to do. Hugo gets in there. Everything's order week. A lot of his changes for season 2 are pretty good as well. He used to have some problems where like there were a couple epiphanies that just like if you got the combination of epiphanies that were handed to you, he kind of fell apart a little bit. Whereas like you could lose initiation on some of his very important initiation cards, etc. Everything being order week makes him pretty decent. You can kind of just slot him in there and he's gonna do a lot of good stuff for you. I think Hugo is pretty great inside of season 2 of CZN because he's just taking advantage of all of the different things that are kind of set up there. His buffs are pretty good and he's just consistent at what he does. Throw him in there as like your secondary DPS or whatever it is you're trying to do, and you'll just get some good value from him without really having to invest in him, and you're gonna have a good time. Narja is yet another one who you can just kind of throw in and not really care. Now, there are some epiphanies where you're just like, oh man, maybe I'm not using defense-based damage dealing characters, which maybe you're not. In season 2, it's a little weird if you're not, but maybe I'm just using some defense-based damage dealers. I'm not using those or anything like that. And you're just like, what is she doing for me? She just kind of like exists. She's fine, right? You get like the base version of Shackles of Hunger. You get some veracity, you do some damage, you heal with mealtime, and you don't really need to pay attention to her all that much. Stuff will happen with her. She's in your party. You're doing damage, you're healing, you're having fun, you're successful. Your run's done, you're good to go. So I think she's a fantastic character for that reason. She's one of the characters that you can throw right into your party and feel like she is carrying the weight of her role with very little investment. And I rate her very highly and put her right up in the carry tier as well. Yuki with your dumb face. Listen, I know everything's weak to order. We've talked about it a couple of times with the likes of Hugo and Luke as well. But Yuki is one of those characters where you just need to sort of build them, work on them together, just like the likes of Rin, right? So if you're not really focusing in on making Yuki super specific, right? Getting the right epiphanies, putting her with the right teammates. You can't just slap a Yuki with like 2 random people in this season, season 2 of CZN, even though everything's order, we can be like, wow, I'm winning the game. That's not happening. I think she's pretty hard to get through there. I'm gonna rate her a little higher than Rin just because her element lines up a little bit, but they suffer from the same exact downsides, basically where they just need to have the right build at the right time with the right team to kind of really pop off. And that is not what building save data for any given character in season 2 of CZN is about. It's like the antithesis of it, actually. So we're gonna put her in the hard tier. Her sister, Chizuru, I know she's not really a sister, but they came out basically the same time. Chizuru, though, even though she doesn't match the element, Chizuru can get in there and provide a lot of value for your team when you're running through chaos mode. All right, you have the Bound at Dusk where you're just getting some free AP efficiency every turn. We like that. You can get some extra stuff. You get some bonus damage with whatever versions of Oni Slash and Tsukiyomi and Karma Flames you kind of roll into. She doesn't really need a ton of focus to get the value from this character. She can just kind of hang out and give you that like AP efficiency, right? Everyone talks about, oh, Mika. Imagine just having like Source of Water ×2 every turn in your opening hand for forever, right? How good that is, and that is very strong. Chizuru is an insanely strong character. Even if she's not going to be doing all of the damage in the game for you, if you're looking for some AP efficiency with a little bit of side DPS on the side, I could see the argument of like putting her in easy instead of carry for that reason, where I'm actually going to probably put her in the easy role instead of carry. I could see her being in the carry role, but a lot of the times when I'm using Chizuru and you're not really focusing on her, she's there for some AP efficiency, does some damage on the side. It's okay. She's not like blasting everything into the sky or anything. But, you know, one of these two, honestly, I can't make up my mind. So we're just going to throw her in the easy one for right now. Although I could see her inch her way up into the carry. It just depends on how aggressive you're going to be using that cost reduction basically from her bound form. Haru. All right, so my thing with Haru is a character who does just want to do one thing, spam Anchor Shot, and she doesn't really care too much about doing anything other than spamming Anchor Shot. Her one problem is getting Anchor Shot into your hand. All right, it's very different than another character we'll talk about slightly in a future, but As far as a character carrying you in season 2, is Haru going to be that character? And I think I've never really liked running her through chaos mode. She just needs too much stuff. She just getting access to the one card, really like the one card you want to spam over and over and over again. She's one of those like combo damage dealers, in my opinion. And we're not really trying to combo out in chaos mode. I've always thought she was pretty hard to get through chaos. I always think that if you have to focus super hard on doing one specific thing with a character, they're not that easy to get through chaos. And those are all just grossly amplified in season 2 when you want to focus all of your resources on a specific character. So if you're putting Haru into your team just to carry you to the end, just to make sure that you can put all of your resources into somebody else, Haru's really not doing all of that much for you. She wants to be kind of focused in on like Yuki and like Rin. So we're gonna put her down here. My man Kayron is like my favorite man of all time, but no, absolutely not. So Kayron here, he just suffers from too much. I need to have a lot of mana. I need to have all the right epiphanies. I need to get these fertilities in my hand. I need to have teammates that want to facilitate that game plan. I need. All those are I's and needs, which means, and that leaves me very wanting, because he is a greedy boy, and I'm gonna put him in the needs carry category as well for all of those reasons. He needs too many things lined up, needs too much AP, needs too many different teammates that want to help him out. Kayron's not getting slapped to a team, ignored, and carrying you to the end. It's not happening. Now it's the number 9 time. Now 9 is just absolutely absurd in season 2 of Chaos Zero Nightmare, to the point where I think she's going to be like the only character that's going to take a tier. And this is because of how busted Hugh is in and of itself. You can probably literally put 9 in your party, give her some decent memory fragments if you have her potentials leveled up, right? And literally just do nothing but turn your freaking brain off and Hugh things every single turn until you've won, for the most part. I'm not even kidding you. And if you random into like Hugh Ironclad, where you just shield yourself every time you do it, you literally can just turn your brain off and just spam Hugh Ironclad, Hero Ironclad level 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, and beat basically everything inside of season 2. So you can literally just throw her in a party. Doesn't matter what epiphanies you get. You don't really care. You're healing, maybe casting Fighting Spirit every once in a while. The enemies are getting 1-shot, 2-shot for the most part, and you just do not care. You can put 9 basically with any 2 characters in the game and probably not have to pay attention to your run and still win. So she is the solo god carry of season 2 of CZN. And anything other than that is absolute hearsay. And if someone has absolutely told you that 9 needs some help inside of chaos runs, inside of season 2, I'd probably stop talking to them, or at least stop paying attention to them. Now, Nia is someone who gets a lot of crap talked about them inside of chaos runs. She also got a fair amount of buffs inside of the season 2 update patch. Where does that leave her? So Nia, as someone who just wants to come into your party and heal you, is actually a fair amount better than she was before. You do have some card selection and some card cheating off of her, and she does have a little bit better healing as well. So if you're looking for someone to boost some damage for you, you want to cycle through your cards a little bit better with like Nia's Curiosity, whatever form of Adagio you get. G-Cord can help you out as well. I don't think she's absolutely busted, but the changes that they did give her, especially like elasticity getting changed, healing a little bit better as well. On top of that, getting extra decibels from some of her cards is a fair amount better than before. I don't think she's going to be like crazy broken. I just think she's just kind of like fine now. I don't think she's awful. I just think she's fine. She's got a little bit of healing. She got a little bit of card draw, card selection. She's just okay. Now, Tressa is someone in season 2 that I want to make an entire dedicated video about, because I think they did this character exceptionally dirty in a lot of different ways and left her with almost no identity whatsoever. Inside of season 2, they kind of made her like this gimmicky, like, make some shadow daggers, put some agony on dudes, but there's a cap, do some damage, maybe sometime put extra agony on dudes. And then the one thing that really kind of made me upset is that this Cursed Gouge card is just overall pretty terrible. It really is a pretty terrible card. And she used to be able to put and apply weakness to enemies inside of chaos runs. That was a godsend because you would be able to drastically reduce their damage, especially if you used her in conjunction with someone who could do morale down while she weakened them. You'd be able to turn like hits that hit you for 1,000 to like hits that hit you for like 50, right? And you can't do that anymore. So she doesn't really have a crazy design or just kind of like a role in your team anymore. She's like this debuffing support damage dealer. And now she just like doesn't really do that much damage. It's okay. And then like the enemy HP inflation versus her dot mechanic is just a big deal as well, because they did buff numbers for a lot of characters, but then they also buffed up the enemy HP if they're level 61 or higher as well. And that plays very poorly with her agony mechanic. So I'm actually gonna put her like, I don't even know if she's fine anymore. Like I might be dogging on her too hard. And this is coming from someone who used to run Tressa through chaos all the time. I think she doesn't really have a role. I think she doesn't really have a good design. And I think that HP inflation to agony change in damage numbers and stuff hit her like way hard, like way hard. I did not have a good time running Tressa through when I was using her. And I kind of felt like she just wasn't doing that much. So she is definitely not like putting the team on her back, right? And allowing you to make really good save data by focusing on other characters in your party. She's kind of there and doesn't really do a whole lot. So hard mode it is. Now, Amir, listen, lining things up. Amir gets a lot of flack, usually in the needs carry. Amir order lines up, right? With enemies that are weak, defense-based character, a lot of defense boosters up in here. She does kind of rely on a couple of cards to do big damage. That being said though, once you unlock them, like any version of Full Metal Hurricane is pretty decent. Metal Pierce doing defense-based damage in a chaos that gives you a lot of ways to do damage this way, and also has the ability to apply vulnerable for a lot of characters you might be running through that want to do big hits, is pretty good. And then she also does have, and it lines up very, very well with a lot of the ways that the enemies work in season 2, is that they kind of charge up and then they hit you really big, and then they charge up and then they hit you really big. And this card right here is just a get out of jail free card. We're just like, I'm not taking any damage this turn. Haha. And which could be the difference between like dying and just like not taking any damage and killing the boss the next turn. So I think she's pretty cool. I'm not gonna say that she's like god tier, just as good as everyone else. You know, she's going right up with solo god 9. I think that's hyperinflating it a little bit there, boys. But I do think that she is actually relatively easy to run through and can just be that character for you. If you don't have any of the other damage dealers, you can go ahead and utilize the distortion effect, throw Amir in there. If you don't have any of these other 5-star characters, she is a free character. Even if you haven't leveled up, you're a new player watching this, you have Amir. I know you do. You get her for free. If you haven't invested into her whatsoever, use the distortion effect, put her on your team, and she'll be able to do a lot of cool things for you inside of season 2, which is great. I think that's a great thing if you're coming back to the game or you're just getting introduced to Chaos Zero Nightmare right now. It's a pretty good time. You know, she's just going to do some cool stuff for you. She just works very well with this season, works very well with the sport cards, works very well with vulnerability, does it herself. There's not a whole lot more to say. She's good. All right, so let's do a couple here when it comes to some characters that just like don't do a whole lot, right? Marbel, very similar to like Amir, but isn't the same type. But I think she is fairly okay in season 2. That being said, if you're not focusing on her, right, there are some epiphanies where you're just like, I really need my Marbel to like pull her weight. You're not just putting Marbel into a team with 2 random people and kind of getting in there. The mismatch of the elements is okay. There are some passion weak enemies, but most of the bosses and stuff going to be doing big order damage to them. And I think Marbel is just like kind of in between like fine and hard, to be honest with you there. In between like fine and hard, depending on what it is that you're doing, just based on how her Vanguard style applies to season 2 of CZN. Lucas, just kind of like, there's no real reason to use like a character like Lucas or Owen. They're not carrying you, they're not doing anything. It's just kind of whatever. Beryl as well, once again, is just in that fine area, I think she's cool. One of the cool things I like about Beryl the most here is that's Nia. Beryl just can kind of exist and do cool things. You have Guilty Pleasure, which is you're going to be able to just draw 3 cards. It's very nice inside of Chaos runs to just always know that you're going to have a 0 draw 3. You don't have to duplicate it or anything crazy like that. It's just going to be there, and you don't really care which of these epiphanies it hits, right? If you get to draw 3 an extra time, you're cool with that. If you draw an extra 2 cards at the start of the next turn, you're cool with that. You get morale, you're fine with that. If you get some cost reduction, you're fine with that. So these, pretty good. It's pretty good. And then you can just kind of hang out, do the retain thing, right? Do some damage for free and just kind of ignore Beryl being in your party. Don't really need to add a bunch of cards or focusing on casting her cards every turn. She is a pretty great character when all things are said and done. And if you're looking for that support type, damage dealer of some kind, she's actually pretty easy to run through. So I think she's either, borderline easy to find depending on which one you're looking at there. I think she's pretty good overall when it comes to Season 2 CZN. If you're looking for that support type, right, sub damage DPS damage dealer, I think that is exactly where someone like Beryl goes. Rei, once again, is another character that can just sort of exist and do her thing, and you don't really care too much about it. Snack time is going to help tremendously, even if you're not focusing on building Rei. This is a double whammy for you. You're drawing a card, which is cool, but you're also going to be removing cards, at least for that battle, from the deck so you don't see them again as you're getting through your run. So like if you're not focusing on Rei, you're not focusing on, there's going to be one other character, right, in your party, because you're going to be putting all your removed cards and all your resources, for the most part, rerolling epiphanies, on the person you're trying to build the save data for. This is getting rid of someone's basic cards, so you don't see that POS for the rest of the battle, right? Any of that stuff. She can also buff up not just cards with 1 or less, void as well. She's going to be a little hit or miss on her buffs for stuff like resonating darkness and dark condensation, depending on who you're pairing her with. But just for the ability to give you a bunch of morale, she's got an EP skill that gives you AP. She's got a lot of cool stuff going for her there. So Rei, in my opinion, I think she's one of the easier characters to run through Chaos with. I almost kind of want to put her up in the carry role, but I think she just kind of makes it easier. Now, the question for me that I have to ask myself as I'm looking at this is like, is Rei and Narja for me and Orlea on the same tier or below? And honestly, I think Orlea, Narja, and Rei, all as far as the supportive, healer type characters, I think they all belong in the same tier when it comes to just doing Season 2 CZN. So I think that we're gonna make sure that they're all right there, because I think these are my 3 favorites to have in my team as like my defensive user. Actually, no, there's one more. My man gonna be Cassius. So Cassius was changed just like Tressa. Unlike Tressa though, he didn't really get nerfed that much. In fact, a lot of the ways, especially when it comes to doing chaos runs, he actually got buffed. The main takeaway that they removed from him was the 000 quest, right, to go infinite, which isn't something we were dealing with inside of chaos runs anyways. They buffed up a bunch of the different quest rewards, whether it's like full house, drawing and reducing stress, or this one like giving you draw cards with morale and resolve and fortitude all at the same time. So a lot of the quests are actually really, really good now. Even if you're just on the random one, you're not re-rolling to stuff, the epiphanies for it doesn't really matter. You're going to find a way to complete those quests, get some value out of that. Drawing cards, no matter which version of Devil Dice, you're going to enjoy that as well. Shuffle gives you just a lot of control. And then obviously Joker is just like, hey dude, go find the best card in your deck and put it into your hand. Or if you have E1, also your discard pile, and put it into your hand. And then one of the small buffs they did was they buffed Dice Trick to give morale down on top of that, which helps your survivability, and his ego skill does give morale down to enemies as well, and gives you quest cards. And remember, the quest cards themselves directly got buffed. Everything but 000 draws you a card now. So they made his ego skill even better than before. And honestly, with that being said, I think that Cassius is right up there in the carry potential. I've run Cassius through CZN Season 2 so many times, whether it's like Cassius in Narja or Cassius in Orlea, and it's just crazy. He's just really, 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 really good in Chaos now. So from someone who used him in Season 1 to Season 2, he's even better, baby. He's even better. They can't keep the Joker down, although they ruined Tressa. Poor girl. Oh, I somehow skipped Sereniel going through the 5 stars. Yeah, so Sereniel is another one of those characters that just, it doesn't really care what epiphany you should get. All 4 epiphanies are going to be useful. It doesn't matter what version of homing laser you get, or a plasma missile, or shining core. Some are going to be slightly better than others, right? If you hit this bad boy early on, right, the unique initiation that gives you the 2 homing laser L's that then on average makes more homing laser L's, pretty powerful there. Very, very, very strong. She did get hit a little bit because her numbers didn't go up and they HP inflated some of the enemies, and she was one of those characters that would do some damage, break the monster, do some damage again, and then they die, right? If you're doing and using Sereniel in some of the higher tiers of chaos, right? You're not farming on 8, you're on like 9, 10, 11 for some reason, and you have like the extra elite HP affixes, you're going to feel like she is randomly way worse than she was last season. And it's a combination of you choosing the HP affix and enemies just having more HP as well with how it interacts with her mechanic. I'm not putting her in solo god carry. She was number 1 for that last time, but she is really good still. She is really good still. But there is a notable difference between the amount of thought process that I had to do using Sereniel versus using 9, and 9 has to be on a tier of her own. She just has to be. Then we have Mika, everyone's favorite character, the best healer of all worlds. Now remember, this is a tier list based around basically how much can I ignore this character, and this character still put in the work, right? So Mika, if you throw her in there, she's just gonna be doing one thing. She's gonna be healing. She's gonna be spamming out heals. Spamming out heals, spamming out heals, spamming out heals. We're not doing 17 source of water save data to the deck. We're ignoring the characters on this tier list and how hard can they help us carry. And really, Mika just, if you compare to like some of the other characters, healing, 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 healing. All 4 of these other characters, they heal and do a crap ton of other stuff, right? Like Cassius and Rey and Orlea and Narja. Mika just heals and has like the ability to like make maybe 1 extra AP if you cast source of water that turn, right? Maybe 2 if you have the right epiphany. Right? Oh, the wave lined up. The wave lined up on the right turn, my guys. Sorry, 3 AP. She's fine. She's not gonna hurt you. She's not gonna make the run a carried run. I think she's a little overblown when it comes to like how good she is overall. Once again, remind yourselves, I play a little bit more aggressively when it comes to this. I'm not on the tank down. I try to heal and my mind breaks, and then I heal through it and I stress reduction, and like all these other characters can do that multiple times. And go see all the different playthroughs we put up. There's hours and hours and hours and hours of footage of that. And I think Mika is just a little overblown when it comes to like how good she is. Does she make it easier? Is she one of the characters you can throw in there to make it easy? Yeah, fine. But is she like making it crazy good? No, I don't even know if I don't honestly know if I would say Mika makes it easy. I would actually move Mika because of all the different other changes to the supports down to the fine tier. Honestly, I was sitting there looking at that and I was like, do I want to have the ability like an AP or 2 every once in a while and heal? And then I look down here with Nia and I'm like, Nia's in fine. Nia can draw cards and heal and like tutor a little bit and cheat mana with D-Decibel. I'm gonna put those 2 together actually. Like Mika's the more tank down version that just kind of heals, and Nia like supports and boosts damage and gives a little card selection, a tiny amount. I think they're both fine. I think that's where those characters go. And then Selena, as well as a character here, works pretty decently. Doesn't really need a whole lot of focus to do her job. She's pretty decent. I don't hate her. I don't love her. Inside of here, I don't think she's making your runs like crazy easy for being there. I don't think she's making them way harder for being there. If you're running her in your team, it's gonna be okay. And she's not gonna like solo carry the run for you though, right? And make your life that much easier just because she's in your party. So just like the other fine tier here, I think she's fine. I don't think it's any harder with her in your party, and I don't think it's any crazy amount easier with her being there as well. That's been mine. And as someone who's ran season 2 chaos enough to totally max the codex out, and I think I'm almost actually maxed out on like the level 100 and something thing. I don't even know what it goes to anymore. And as someone who's totally maxed the codex out already in season 2, this has been my experience. I hope this helps you guys out a lot. If you want to see more future stuff coming out like DPS Mika, and I'm dropping a bunch of guides because, well, we're not totally ill anymore, make sure you hit that sub button. All right, come back, drop a like. It's the only thing the algo cares about, legitimately. If you smack a like and hit the comment, I never say that stuff. Let's try it just the one time. Let's just try it the one time. See what happens. You lasted till the end of the video or you clicked all the way through, scumbag. And I'll catch you guys. I love you guys in the next one. Bye.